From medical school memories to Music City magic, Burrell alumni reunite in Nashville. Hear from Alumni President Dr. Stephanie Ayala in our latest podcast episode. It's called Rack Day, and they're bringing students and clinical faculty closer than ever. Dr. Muneer Assi joins us to talk about how these events are shaping tomorrow's doctors. How do you bring more doctors to rural New Mexico? We're in Artesia, where Burrell is helping advance rural health one community at a time. Meet Maya Rademacker, a future physician whose compassion is leading the way. Hear her inspiring journey on this podcast. And celebrating Latino Physician Day and the growing impact of Hispanic doctors in medicine. Hear how Burrell students and alumni are making a difference. All that and much more. So let's get started. Hey everybody, welcome back to this special episode of the DO Pulse, a podcast about osteopathic medicine, community, and education. I'm your host, Sydney Alvarez. Now this podcast is brought to you by Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine and sponsored by GCU. Learn how GCU is the credit union that can help you meet your financial goals. Visit gcu.com for more. Well, as you can see, I am joined by a very special guest, Dr. Stephanie Ayala. She's an alumnus from the original class, right? 2020,
yeah,
the first class.
2020.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for representing Burrell beautifully. It is such an honor to have you
My
here
pleasure.
and have this conversation.
My pleasure.
So, you're living the dream. You're an emergency room medicine doctor. Tell me about it.
Yeah, so I'm board certified emergency medicine. It is my dream. I work in Western Massachusetts in Pittsfield, Mass. For the Berkshire Health Systems, which includes kind of like a urban metro, medium-sized city hospital, and then 2 critical access hospitals that are north and south of that main site. I love my job. I love the people I work with. Very happy. After residency, actually in and after residency, we were blessed with 2 children. So I have a son and a daughter. So, family of 4, just living life, and very happy, very blessed.
So, as I mentioned, emergency room medicine, you have a background, I think you said EMT, correct? Tell me about your background and how that kind of transitioned you into wanting to become a doctor.
Yeah, so pre-hospital medicine has always been part of what I did in terms of my undergrad studies. I started off as an EMT, and I was very much like doing undergrad work, not really knowing what I wanted to do, and I needed a little bit of like a guidance. So I saw a flyer on campus once for basically a college EMS system, and they would pay and support the whole EMT basic training, and that was where I started and loved it. I did that for a couple of years just as an EMT basic, and then I became a paramedic, and in total spent about 8.5 years as a paramedic in EMS. So that was a big driving force in applying to medical school, pursuing emergency medicine.
And you also had your family that helped influence you into this path. Can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so my mom was an ER nurse, but she, I grew up with just my mom. She was a single parent, and I went to her nursing classes with her. If she didn't have a babysitter, I would go to work with her. They would kind of put me up in like an empty room, and I'd have my toys and stuff there. And so I was very much seeing everything kind of front row based on her experience. And she's a strong woman. She, gave me my life and also provided such a role model support for me that I just kind of naturally followed in her footsteps. And yeah, I owe that to her.
Well, speaking of role models, you're Latina. Dr. Ayala, you represent a group that, they're making strides in the field of medicine. Tell me what it feels like that you're helping set precedents for this.
It feels really good. It definitely feels like something special that I have that I can bring to my patient population, because every place where I practice, whether it be as pre-hospital or being a medical student or now as a physician, there's always a Latino population, and so that's something where I can connect, especially with those patients. And hablo español, I speak a little bit of Spanish, and my medical Spanish has grown like exponentially, so I'm able to actually take care of them. And I found honestly that even in the beginning when I didn't speak a ton of medical Spanish, people just appreciate that you're trying to speak in their language, and so that gives me a special connection with my patients.
Oh, absolutely. It's like you're relating to them,
Yeah.
or maybe you can understand them a little better.
Exactly. Culturally, the things that they go through, and the way that they, interact with their families and the way that they approach medicine and health issues. It's different, so being able to understand that is definitely a special skill.
Can we talk about emergency room medicine, so to speak? That emergency room, well, when you talk about that, you're hitting the ground running, you're in it, this is it.
Yeah. That's definitely a good way to describe it. I tell my husband, like, as soon as I walk through the door, if you text me, it has to be an emergent text if it's emergent, because the moment I walk through the door, it's, hey, doc, I need you here. Hey, bed 5 has a blood pressure of 70. And so it really is fulfilling in the sense that you step in and you're needed. And that goes on for 8-9 hours, however long the shift is. It's very rare that we have a shift where we have a moment to rest. So,
well, you say you're needed. It's life and death sometimes.
Yeah, very much so.
What's that like? What's that feel like?
It's multifactorial in terms of like feelings, because in one sense it's fulfilling, in the other sense it can be very sad. You're telling their loved ones that awful news on a day-to-day basis, but then on the flip side of that, sometimes you save people and sometimes there's really good outcomes, so it all balances out.
Dr. Ayala, can we talk about Burrell?
Yes.
All right, so you are from the inaugural class.
Yep.
Why'd you pick Burrell?
Well, when I was deciding, narrowing the list down, Burrell was very unique in the sense that it was brand new, and it was serving a primarily Hispanic and Latino patient population in a healthcare desert where there was such a big need. And I just really felt that was something special to me that I connected with. So that was like the motivating factor, is that like kind of gut feeling of like, this is the right place.
So now, as you saw the light at the end of the tunnel, and I want you to share your experience, right? You're doing what you wanted to do, you're in your career, but when you were back in med school, did you ever think you were going to get there?
I honestly had my doubts. I remember, I don't know, I think that Nina's still there. I think Krista,
yes,
I think Krista has like since, sought a different career and left, but I was there in their office, even though they were, educational specialists and helping with like how you study. I always used them more as like a therapist. Like, am I going to make it through this block? Like, am I going to pass this test? Am I actually cut out for this? And so there was definitely moments, because it can be so overwhelming with just studying from sunrise to sunset. But I'd say the overall support from the school and from like our friends and fellow students was enough to like get me through. But I had my moments.
So, what's your advice? I want you to look at that camera and tell our current students, hey, what helped you get through those blocks, through those 4 years?
Yeah, I would say lean on someone, whether it be the educational specialist, someone at school. Find someone who supports you, helps you to figure out how to study, and also someone that you can just vent to and get that kind of stress out. Find a good study group, somebody or a group of people that you get along with, that you guys mesh well and you can study well together. And then just a good healthy routine, like making sure you take care of yourself. If you're getting overwhelmed or like overstressed, make sure to take time to like take a quick trip for the weekend or work out or whatever makes you happy, because your cup has to be full.
So Dr. Ayala, we are in Nashville, and we are here for our second annual alumni event. Why are these events important?
Well, it's basically a celebration of, especially for our first inaugural class, but for every class, of the work that has been done both on the behalf of the faculty and our professors and also all of the students. So I think it's important to celebrate that and to keep the tradition, and yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time. We truly appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get out there and have some fun here in Nashville. It's time for our first break. We'll be back. How do you bring more doctors to rural New Mexico? We're in Artesia, where Burrell is helping advance rural health one community at a time. Meet Maya Rademacker, a future physician whose compassion is leading the way. Hear her inspiring journey on this podcast. And celebrating Latino Physician Day and the growing impact of Hispanic doctors in medicine. Hear how Burrell students and alumni are making a difference. That's next, right after the break.
Life can feel like you're always on the go. GECU is here to guide you through the home buying process with new lower rates. You can apply anytime.
I got approved!
And from virtually anywhere, Apply now at gecu.com.
I didn't grow up seeing people like me in medicine, but even then, I believed there had to be a place for me, a place where someone like me could say, "You belong." I'm a first-generation student, the first in my family to graduate high school, the first to go to college, and now the first to become a doctor. At Burrell College, I found more than just an education. I found people who believed in me. I found purpose. At Burrell College, you belong.
Hey everybody, welcome back. As you can see, I'm joined by a very special guest, Dr. Muneer Assi. How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Doing good. Dr. Assi, this has been just, a dream of mine to have you sit down and interview with me. So thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Thank you, Sid. I appreciate it.
So we're talking about RAC Day, Regional Academic Center Day here with the Burrell campus. Tell us about RAC Day. What's RAC Day?
So RAC Day is an opportunity for our second year students to get a introduction into all our 10 regional academic centers, because they're going to be going to those regional academic centers during their third and fourth years. Mm-hmm. The first 2 years are on campus here in classroom. The second 2 years are in clinical settings.
It's the actual hands-on, what I call the hands-on section of their
How to be
education.
a doctor.
Yeah, and that's very important because they're going to this different areas. Tell us about the different areas that they have opportunities to explore.
Yeah, so we have 10 different regional academic centers. We're located here in Las Cruces. We have El Paso, Texas. We have Albuquerque, New Mexico. We have Roswell. We have Farmington, which is our Four Corners area. We have Tucson, Arizona. We have Brooklyn, New York, which is going to start next July. And then we have our Space Coast region in Melbourne. We have Palm Beach, and we have Southwest Florida in Fort Myers.
Well, we're really making an imprint when it comes to the Burrell name and the opportunities for our students. Can you share a little bit with me, when a student is in the RAC Center, what are they learning?
They're learning hands-on skills. They're learning how to be a physician. They're actually, the osteopathic model is usually a one-on-one training when they have a mentor, a practicing physician, and they're under their wings for 4 weeks. And so they learn that specialty.
Yeah, and it's I think it's different, like 7 or 9 principles, is that correct?
Yeah, we have family medicine, pediatrics, internal medicine, OBGYN, psychiatry, surgery, emergency medicine. And then in the fourth year they do ICU rotations and some audition rotations so that they can match in residency.
Beautiful. And RAC Day is the day where our students get to learn about the different locations?
Correct. Okay. Yeah. So we have presentations all day from all the 10 different RAC sites, and they get an introduction into the communities, the hospital systems that are in each of the RACs.
So I think what's really exciting, what I've heard from interviewing students and preceptors and RAC coordinators, is that we have some urban areas and some rural areas, but it kind of all fits our mission, meaning that we want to get quality healthcare in our rural communities.
For sure, we do. We have our rural areas, Farmington and Roswell. Even when our, if we go to our urban areas, a lot of them are underserved. El Paso is considered an underserved area, so okay. A lot of our students do get great rotations and great experiences at all of our hubs, all of our RACs, and indeed, it helps our mission.
So I know that we're growing as far as our RAC centers are concerned. Earlier you mentioned Brooklyn. It's going to be our newest RAC location. Tell me about this.
Yeah, Brooklyn is an inner city hospital. They have a tremendous amount of residency programs, and this is an opportunity for our students to work in an inner city hospital. Get experience with other schools that are going to that hospital as well, and we hope to grow there.
Dr. Assi, can we switch a little bit and talk about the preceptor program? Is that okay?
Sure.
Tell us about the preceptor program. What is this?
Preceptor program is kind of what I mentioned earlier. In the osteopathic profession, we tend to have like a one-on-one mentorship program where our practicing physicians have a student under their wings and they get to learn from them over the month. And it's a great way to give back. All of our preceptors were in medical school once, and they were students once, and they had a mentor at that time, and this is their time to kind of give back.
And you also serve as, you wear, dual hats here, so to speak. You also serve as a preceptor. What does that mean to you, serving as a preceptor? As you mentioned, you're passing on that knowledge.
Yeah, and we all want to make sure that our students in medical school are getting the adequate amount of training, and we'd love to give our experiences to the students so that they can become great physicians themselves and be able to take care of us when we are ailing.
When you were in med school and now as you're in your career and you see yourself now as an educator, was there any advice that was offered to you that you've taken to heart and that you can now share with our current students?
Yeah, I think that the most important thing that I learned throughout my training was always do the right thing. Do the right thing for the patient, treat them as your family and how you would want your family to be treated. And I think that's the most important thing that a caring physician can do.
Dr. Assi, I want to thank you so much for joining us and being on this program. But before I let you go, can you just kind of share, look in that camera and reach out or talk to other physicians out there who may not be part of the preceptor program and maybe tell them why you think they should be part of the preceptor program?
Yeah, I think that it's an important way to give back. Like I said, we were all students before. We all had mentors before, and it's a great way to put a student under your wing and give them your experiences that you've had for the last 15, 20, 30 years of practice, and that valuable experience is tremendous for the students. They get to actually see what really happens in real life, and it really is a satisfying thing as a preceptor to be able to give back.
And if people want more information, where can they go?
Yeah, they can go to the Burrell website, and there's a section in there that says how to become a preceptor, or they can contact their local community RAC coordinator.
Dr. Assi, I'm not going to let you go without talking about you a little bit. So you are a very notable physician in our community. Tell us why you wanted to become a doctor.
Well, I was born and raised in El Paso, and my mom had six brothers, and 3 of them are practicing osteopathic physicians. And growing up, I always wanted to be kind of like them. And my pediatrician in El Paso was also very influential. And so I always knew when I was a little kid that I wanted to be a doctor. So I wanted to follow in my uncle's footsteps. And anyway, here we are now.
I think you're absolutely incredible. And thank you so much for being on the show. And we appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Sid.
How do you bring more doctors to rural New Mexico? We're in Artesia, where Burrell is helping advance rural health one community at a time. Meet Maya Rademacker, a future physician whose compassion is leading the way. Hear her inspiring journey on this podcast. And celebrating Latino Physician Day and the growing impact of Hispanic doctors in medicine. Hear how Burrell students and alumni are making a difference.
I became a doctor because I wanted to do more for my family, for my community, for the people living in places where healthcare is hard to find. My parents built a life from the ground up. They taught me what hard work and sacrifice really mean. At Burrell College, I found more than just a medical education. I found purpose. Hands-on training, mentors who believed in me, and the chance to serve the communities that shaped me.
Dr. Grant.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Today, I'm an emergency medicine physician, right where I always wanted to be, on the front lines in my community, helping those who need it most. At Burrell College, you belong.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Healthcare in New Mexico can be challenging, especially in rural areas and small towns. Well, here's a story about how 2 Burrell College alumni are working to make a difference. For Rosie Lovato, living with asthma has always been a challenge, but finding quality care close to home in Roswell hasn't always been easy. Until now, thanks to Dr. Miller.
My medical has gotten better. He's took me up with a lot of medication that they have me on. He's a very good doctor. He listens. He's very attentive to my care.
Dr. Trevor Miller is a graduate of Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine. He is one of 2 physicians now serving patients in Roswell through Rio Pecos Medical Associates. And despite a lifelong stutter, Dr. Miller excelled in his training, determined to care for people in communities that need it most.
This is what I consider my medical home.
Alongside Dr. Miller is fellow Burrell graduate Dr. David Puccinari. Both doctors are here thanks to support from the PY Foundation, which helps cover medical school tuition so graduates can return and practice medicine in underserved areas.
I want to just perpetuate the cycle. Like, my goal is to stay here long term and kind of capitalize on the Yates program and the Burrell program to continue to bring docs here.
Which is right in line with the mission of Burrell College, to train doctors for communities medically underserved.
It is so important that we have organizations that are supporting rural healthcare. And we're so pleased to now have 2 graduates of Burrell College who have now joined our team.
And as for patients like Rosie, these partnerships are life-changing.
Because it's hard to find really good doctors that will stay and that will do the medical care that they, for their patient. Like, for example, with me, I won't change. I'll stay with Dr. Miller until whenever.
Thank you so much, Dr. Miller and Dr. Puccinari. Your work is truly inspiring. Now, as you just heard, every single doctor has a story to tell. Now, here's a story about a student doctor who has compassion and empathy. Watch this.
Hello, my name is Maya Rademacker, and I'm a student physician here at Burrell College of Osteopathic Medicine. So I'm originally from upstate New York, a little outside of Buffalo, but I moved to South Florida when I was 15. I was working as a caregiver for 7 years, so I've seen a lot of healthcare, but on the family side, just working with different children, helping them through motility aids, things like that. And I really always wanted to help transition into a healthcare setting so that I can help on both sides. I chose osteopathic medicine because I had a lot of healthcare issues when I was a kid, and a lot of the physicians in the small farm town that I'm from were doing a lot of manipulative medicine, not necessarily osteopathic manipulation. So I always knew that it worked well for me, and I really wanted to learn from an institution such as this. I chose Burrell because I really wanted a safe community space, and I've always found that with Burrell through all of my interviews and just meeting the other students here when I was considering applications. And it's just such a warm, close, connected family here, and that's really what I wanted to have throughout my medical school.
We close our day with Latino Physician Day, where Burrell students and state officials came together to mark the occasion. Watch this.
To our LMSA student leaders, thank you for organizing this wonderful event and for reminding us that diversity is not just a value that we uphold, but it is a core driver of our strength as an institution.
Representative Doreen Gallegos was able to provide us a certificate from the House of Representatives in New Mexico honoring the legacy of Latino physicians across our state.
I think it's especially important to have Latino physicians, people that look like us, people that can talk the language, people that can give comfort and aid to those that reflect what they look like in their own communities.
What we need to do is really identify with the communities that we're serving, and when they're going to get healthcare, when they want to get served for services and they need help, the best way for them to do that probably is from someone that understands their community, understands who they are, and understands their needs.
LMSA is so grateful for all of our supporters for this day. We are extremely grateful for Mateo's Mexican Food, Dr. Melendez from the Financial Aid Office, Alma's Cafe, and all those that helped to donate for today's event.
Felicidades. What a great job to everybody involved. So that's our show. If you have questions or story ideas about our program, you can send us an email. The email is communications@burrell.edu. We'd love to hear from you. You can also follow us on our social media platforms. Our handle is @Burrell College. I'm Sidney Alvarez. Thanks for watching, and until next time.